this report, the 4th of June 2025. So what's in store for us today? Today, I want to discuss about the central bank's drive, gold boom amidst global uncertainty. Okay, so the gold movement that we have seen so far, it's mainly driven by the buying forces of the central bank. Now, the global gold markets are on a historic run in 2025, and the quiet force behind the rally isn't just retail investors or hedge funds, it's central banks. Now, governments around the world are buying gold at record levels, responding to mounting uncertainty surrounding US foreign policy, spiraling debt, inflationary pressures, and a shifting global order. Now, according to the World Gold Council, central banks purchased over 1,045 metric tons of gold in 2024, marking the second consecutive year of buying above the 1,000-ton mark. Now, this figure is more than twice the average annual purchases recorded over the previous decade. As of April 2025, spot gold has climbed to a record of 3,167 US dollars per ounce, up 19% year to date and over 70% since the end of 2022, right? Now, the surge in demand is being led by emerging markets. Poland added 90 tons in 2024, aiming to boost gold to 20% of its total reserves. India quadrupled its annual gold purchases, while China added steadily for the 17th consecutive month. Others such as Turkey, Iran, Kazakhstan, and Iraq have all increased gold holdings as a buffer against economic instability, sanctions, or depreciating currencies. Now, this behavior reflects a deeper shift, what analysts now call a global move towards de-dollarization. Now, as US policies under President Trump become more unpredictable, including renewed trade wars and a transitional approach to long-standing alliances, many countries are reducing their reliance on the US dollars. For decades, US Treasuries and the dollar were considered the ultimate safe haven assets. But now central banks are looking for alternatives that are less exposed to political influence. Now, gold offered them a compelling option. It carries no counterparty risk, cannot be devalued by any single government, and retains value during inflation or geopolitical tensions. So, in many cases, gold is also being repatriated, meaning it's moved from foreign storage back into domestic vaults, which further signaling that countries want control over their own reserve. So does this mean that the US dollar is losing its crown? Now, many observers ask if central banks gold buying means the US dollar's dominance is fading. Certainly, efforts at de-dollarization are underway. Countries like China, Russia, and many emerging economies are reducing reliance on dollar and US treasuries. Central banks' move into gold is part of that trend. So as one analysis observes, record buying signals shifting reserves and crack in US dollar dominance. Trump's aggressive tariffs and talks of weakening the dollar has also made foreign holders nervous. However, there is no easy replacement for the dollar. The dollar still drives most trades and finance, and any abrupt shift would be costly. And an Atlantic Council report notes that no currency or currency bloc is ready to challenge the dollar's role, and US financial markets remain by far the deepest pool of capital. So far, central banks are diversifying, not abandoning US dollars entirely. They still hold vast amount of US debt, but are modestly reallocating some into gold and other assets. Now, the return to the gold standard is extremely unlikely. No major government is actually proposing a formal gold standard, and most economists consider it impractical. Instead, the concept of repricing gold usually just means gold prices in dollars keep climbing. Okay? In fact, many analysts now forecast still higher gold prices, but this reflects market forces and reserve trends. So what's the implication for investors? For individual investors, the trend carries valuable lessons. While gold does not pay interest or dividend, its historical role as a store of value is once again in focus. Now, financial advisors commonly recommend a 5 to 10% allocation to gold, either through physical assets, ETFs, or mining equities, as a way to hedge against economic downturn and currency depreciation. The message from central banks is subtle but clear. In times of deep uncertainty, tangible assets with intrinsic value become more attractive. As they continue to buy quietly and consistently, the rest of the world is left to consider what this means for the future of money. And you also should think carefully as well, what does this mean? If you're holding lots of fiat currency without backing of tangible assets like gold. Okay, so have a good talk, and that's a sharing for today.